Hello there, Mr. Sutton here with the Algebra 2 Honors 4-2 Part 2 homework solutions on multiplying three polynomials together and also using square root shortcuts in Pascal's triangle. To simplify this problem, we need to get rid of the parentheses and then combine the like terms. So there's an invisible 1 outside of each of these parentheses. So we're really just going to multiply by that invisible 1 and essentially lose the parentheses without changing anything else. So we've got 9y cubed plus 3y squared minus 2y plus 1, totally unchanged. And over here, minus 5y squared plus y minus 4. And at this point, we're just going to combine the like terms. So these are terms that have the same variable and exponents. 9y cubed is the only cubed term, and it's the highest one, so we'll put that one again. We'll just rewrite it, cut and paste. For the y squareds, we have a 3 and a negative 5y squared. That's going to add up to negative 2y squared. And then we have a negative 2y and a positive 1y adds up to a negative 1y, which we'll just call negative y. And then 1 and a minus 4 adds up to a negative 3. On this problem, we need to get rid of the parentheses and combine the like terms. The first parentheses has an invisible 1 outside of it, so multiplying that through doesn't really change anything that was already in there. The next parentheses, however, has an invisible negative 1 outside. So we basically have to change the signs of everything that was in there, multiply it all by negative 1. So this will be negative 5x cubed, negative 12x squared, positive 3x, negative times a negative, and positive 4. At this point, we just combine the like terms. We have a 3x cubed and a negative 5x cubed. That adds up to negative 2x cubed. Next, we have a negative 2x squared and a negative 12x squared. Combining that gives us negative 14x squared. And then 4x and 3x adds up to 7x. And negative 8 and positive 4, that'll be a negative 4. To simplify this problem, we're going to get rid of the parentheses and then combine the like terms. So both parentheses have invisible 1s next to them if we don't see anything else. So multiplying by an invisible 1 just basically gets rid of the parentheses without changing anything. So we have this whole first group of things unchanged, and this whole second group of things completely unchanged in terms of signs or anything else. Now we can combine some like terms. The highest term is this 12x to the 5th, and there's no other x to the 5ths, so we'll just write that again. For the x to the 4ths, we have a negative 3x to the 4th and an 8x to the 4th. We can add those together to get 5x to the 4th. Next up, let's see here. The next highest term is this negative 3x cubed. We might as well go in decreasing order of exponents while we're doing this. There's no other x cubed, so we'll just write that one again. Next, there's no x squareds. We do have some x's. We have a 2x and a 4x adds up to 6x. And then negative 5 and positive 1 adds up to negative 4. To simplify this problem, we need to first get rid of the parentheses, then we can combine like terms. So we have an invisible 1 outside the first parentheses. We can basically get rid of that for free without changing anything because we're just distributing a 1. So no changes there. The next one, we have a negative 1 outside. We're going to have to distribute that to everything inside, so that's going to change everything. So this will be a negative 7x to the 5th, positive 8x to the 4th, negative 2x, and positive 11. Now we'll combine like terms, and we'll do this in decreasing order of exponents. So the highest exponent, it looks like, is this 5x to the 6th. There's no other exponents that are that high, so we'll just rewrite that one. That one is in a class all its own. Next, do we have any x to the 5ths? We do. We have this negative 7x to the 5th, but that's the only one, so we will rewrite that one as well. How about x to the 4ths? We have a negative 2x to the 4th and an 8x to the 4th. That'll add up to 6x to the 4th. X to the 3rd, we have this 9x cubed right here. There's no other cubed terms, so we'll just rewrite that one. So a lot of these kind of are on their own. And then how about x squareds? There's no x squared, so we go on to x to the 1st power. We have a positive 2x and a negative 2x. Those just cancel out completely. We do not need to write 0x. Next, we have a negative 4 and an 11. That adds up to 7, and that is it. To simplify this problem, we're going to have to pop these parentheses by distributing, and then we'll combine like terms. This first one has just an invisible 1 out in front, so we can essentially just get rid of it without making any other changes. The next one has an invisible negative 1 that we're going to have to distribute. So that's going to be a negative x cubed minus 7x plus 2. Let's go and combine like terms now. The highest exponent is this negative x cubed, and there's no other x cubed, so we'll just rewrite that one on its own. How about x squareds? We have a single x squared here, no other x squareds, so that one just gets rewritten. Now for the x's, we have a negative 3x and a negative 7x. That'll add up to negative 10x, and then 4 and 2 adds up to 6. For this first problem, we just need to distribute 7x cubed to each of the terms in this parentheses. So 7x cubed times 5x squared, that's going to be 35x to the, we're going to add the exponents, so x to the 5th. And then we have 7x times cubed times 3x, that's going to be 21x to the 4th, because we have 3 plus 1. And then 7x cubed times 1 is just 7x cubed. There's no like terms to combine at the end, so this is done. For this problem, to get started, we're going to distribute everything in the first parentheses to this whole second parentheses. So we've got 5x squared times negative 2x plus 3, negative 4x times negative 2x plus 3, and 6 times negative 2x plus 3. Now we just have to go through and distribute on each of these individual situations and combine the like terms after that. So 5x squared times negative 2x is going to be negative 10x cubed. 5x squared times 3 is 15x squared. Negative 4x times negative 2x is 8x squared. Negative 4x times 3 gives us negative 12x. 6 times negative 2x is negative 12x. And 6 times 3 is 18. All right, so like terms. Let's see, there's only one of these negative, these x cubed terms, so this negative 10x cubed is just going to stay the way it is. And then there's two of these squared terms. 15 and 8 adds up to 23x squared. Negative 12x and negative 12x is negative 24x. And this 18 is just along for the ride. This problem is a whole lot of fun. To do this one, we need to distribute everything in the first parentheses to everything in the second parentheses. So because there's 3 things here and 3 things here, that's a total of 9 multiplications, 3 times 3, that we're going to end up doing when all is said and done. So let me just break things up a little bit. So we'll have this x squared times this whole second parentheses. I'll just rewrite all that. Minus 2x times the second parentheses. Minus 4 times the second parentheses. I don't have to rewrite all of this stuff. I could just use a bunch of lines to indicate where I'm multiplying, but I like doing it this way. It makes it easier to not lose anything. So distributing in each of these cases now, x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. X squared times negative 3x is negative 3x cubed. And then we have negative 5x squared. Next, this is going to be negative 2x to the 3rd. Negative 2x times negative 3x is positive 6x squared. Negative 2x times negative 5 is positive 10x. And now we distribute this negative 4, so this is going to be negative 4x cubed, positive 12x, and negative 4 and negative 5 gives us positive 20. All right, time to go through and combine like terms. There's only one of these x to the 4ths, so I'm just going to rewrite that. We have, let's see, a negative 3x cubed and a negative 2x cubed, and that's it. So that adds up to negative 5x cubed. Next up, we have these squares, so negative 5x squared and 6x squared would give me 1x squared, but we also have this negative 4x squared here. 1 minus 4 gives me negative 3x squared. Now for the x to the first powers, we have a 10x and a 12x, which adds up to 22x. And then finally, this 20, there's no other constant, so that stays the way it is.